Yeah, it's your boy Crypto Blood, and welcome to another episode of my Two Satoshis. It is March 29th, 2019. Shout out to my man Brian XV for the song request today. Number One, Crushed by Garbage. Sounds like some nice old school alternative rock. That's all good with me. Hope you guys doing well, and again, happy Friday, and welcome to another episode. Today, we're going to be looking at an article that really piqued my interest because, you know, we do see a rise in the price of Bitcoin, but also what has happened, we've seen a rise or a doubling in the number of transactions on the blockchain, on Bitcoin's blockchain to be more specific. We're nearing 400 or above 400,000 transactions in a day. So we're going to take a look at that and see if there's any correlation with Venezuela, what's going on down there. You know, our government, man, we dibble and dabble in everyone's business except fixing our own. You know, it seems like, and maybe it's a coincidence, but it seems like we didn't start messing with Maduro really too hard until the petrodollar cryptocurrency came about that he launched and was trying to use with other countries. Once that happened, we really put the pressure on them. We saw this happen with Gaddafi in Liberia. We've seen it happen in Iraq with Saddam Hussein. Anytime we try to get away, any country try to get away from using the U.S. dollar to settle their transactions and do import exports, it seems like they're a threat to the world, right? So we'll see what happens in the next coming months with that. But we'll take a look at the article that is talking about transactions and Venezuela. Could be some correlation there. The second article is out of CoinDesk, I believe, and it is about the SEC. They have delayed yet again a number of ETF proposals. The Van Eck ETF, which I did cover a couple of months ago about them removing their proposal. So I don't know, we got to look at this article and see what's really going on here. And then the Bitwise ETF is the other one that has been delayed, I should say, not denied but delayed. So we're going to take a look at both of those articles, but first, the market cap 143 billion right now. Bitcoin's dominance is at 50.25, so 50 and a quarter. If we take a look at this chart, you'll see we're inching up ever so closely to highs in the market cap for the year. We may have actually surpassed the last high in market cap for the year, but I know as far as price goes, we're trying very hard to get above this area. We're climbing forward. Now that's one of the major areas, just shy of 4,200 on Coinbase, but the main one we need to look out for, and you may want to put an alert on your app, is for the 4260 area or 4240 area. Just depends on what exchange you're looking at it on, but on Coinbase it's definitely in that range, 4250. As you can see there, 4242, somewhere around there. Let's see if we can get there. Definitely was wrong about us breaking through this area right here. We had that line drawn there for a while now, and it looks like we bounced off of that. So that was a nice key support area. So let's just see what happens in the next few days here. But looking promising, looking promising. So the first article is out of CoinDesk, and it's about that SEC postponing of the Bitcoin ETFs for both Bitwise and Van Eck. So it says here that the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission has delayed making a decision on two Bitcoin exchanges traded funds proposed earlier this year. The first ETF was filed by Bitwise Asset Management with NYSE Arca. It was published in the Federal Registry on February 15th, kicking off the first 45-day clock for an initial decision on the filing. Overall, the SEC has 240 days to approve or reject any ETF proposal, and so today's decision means the SEC now has another 45 days to consider the proposal. As a result, the SEC said Friday it will either approve or disapprove or institute proceedings to determine whether to disapprove, whatever that means, the proposed rule change by May 16, 2019. According to today's letter, the SEC has so far received 21 comments on the proposed rule change, and the SEC is also reviewing another Bitcoin ETF proposal filed by VanEck and SolidX in partnership with the CBOE BZX exchange. The VanEck SolidX proposal was initially filed nearly a year ago, but was withdrawn in January during the longest partial government shutdown in history. VanEck CEO Jan Van Eck explained that the shutdown had at least temporarily paused conversations between the SEC and the companies which submitted the proposal. So the CBOE and Van Eck resubmitted their proposal in late January and was published in the Federal Registry on February 20th. On Friday, the SEC extended this decision as well, designating May 21st as the date on which it would either make the firm decision or launch proceedings to do so. While the SEC has not yet approved any Bitcoin ETFs, prominent voices in the community believe it may happen this year. In an interview with Roll Call published earlier in February, SEC Commissioner Robert Jackson said that he believes an ETF proposal will satisfy the standards the regulator has set forth eventually. And eventually, what does that mean? Because I even covered that particular article, which was blown out of context totally. Eventually does not mean this year, in my opinion. I just don't see it happening. There's still manipulation from whales, exchanges, wash trading. I talked about that yesterday. It's all these things that, in my opinion, Wall Street is just way too conservative to roll out an ETF over. I heard, people say in my comments, one rebuttal was, well, if they approve the ETF, then the volume will come in and kind of wash out a lot of the manipulation from the independent whales. I don't see Wall Street doing that. They usually like to see stuff well established, and then they'll come in and start to take over and do their own manipulating. But that's just my opinion. I just don't see it happening this year. 2020, maybe. We just got to see these markets from their standpoint be less fragmented and more liquidity. We need more liquidity. Again, I'm not for the ETF anyhow. It doesn't matter to me, but this is something I need to cover because this is going to have an effect on Bitcoin and the crypto markets if it ever is approved. So you guys let me know your thoughts about that. Do you think that another delay means just more opportunity to pass it, or is it just showing that there won't probably be one passed this year? You guys let me know in the comments below. Second article is out of Trust Nodes, and it is about Bitcoin transactions spiking. The number of transactions in a month, or I should say a day, has spiked up to 400,000. It says that's double the amount of activity it has seen just 4 days ago, rising from about 220,000 transactions on the 24th of March to 390,000 on the 28th of March, as you can see with the chart. What caused the spike is unclear, but we can see at the beginning of the month that Bitcoin was handling about 350,000 transactions a day, with it then suddenly plunging as Venezuela sees the biggest electrical blackout in its history. Power then returns immediately, with it apparently going off again recently, so transactions seemingly dive again. Now electricity has returned, according to Reuters, which says that cities across Venezuela recovered electricity on Thursday after the blackout, the second major one in less than 3 months. To deal with the power outages, Maduro has announced a plan of load management for the coming days without providing details. Venezuela handles about $10 million worth of Bitcoin trading volumes on the peer-to-peer exchange Local Bitcoins, far more than all of America or Europe. It is unclear, however, whether this is just a coincidence or whether there's a causative relationship between the blackout and Bitcoin transactions. Some in Venezuela were saying that the banks and other vital services were not running during the blackout while Bitcoin was still on. That's shows good use case for it, doesn't it? There were suggestions they were using Bitcoin tech services to send or receive Bitcoin through SMS, with Venezuelans able to access the Bitcoin network even during the nationwide blackout. Another reason for the spike might be a continuous price rise in Bitcoin, suggesting adoption is growing. Well, there you have it. You know, me personally, I just think it could be partially that. But, you know, when I saw this article, it made me think about the countries that don't even allow Bitcoin and, you know, seeing where we are with volume and everything and the price. And a lot of people are upset and impatient about the price. Think about this. China, I don't know, many people forget this, but China has a ban on Bitcoin, and that's been in motion for almost 2 years now, since early 2017. Cryptos were banned by the Chinese government. I don't know if it was the PBOC or just the government in general. So you have to remember that. And then secondly, India has a ban on Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. And so you've got two of the biggest countries as far as population goes, not even allowing the usage of cryptocurrencies or Bitcoin in particular. So that alone should be good news for you. Fundamentally, it's going to come, even if it doesn't come from them releasing the ban in both of those mega countries, that at least that is floating out there. And also what reminded me, I don't know if you guys remember this, I've used this site, I haven't used it in a while, but I used to go to it way back in the day, like 2013, when I first started getting into cryptocurrencies, called Fiat Leak. Check it out, pretty neat way they display what's going on. So essentially what it's showing is all of the currencies below, going across the bottom of the screen there, is showing Bitcoin being exchanged for those fiat currencies. So we have Bitcoin going to the US the most volume there, and then I don't know if you noticed, there was a rapid stream of Bitcoin heading to Venezuela. So you have both of those, and then we also have Europe, right? Great Britain, you see a nice flow coming from Great Britain, and then also from Japan. Very small amounts coming from China. Every once in a while you'll see one coming out of China. But just to give you some contrast, back in the day, all you saw was China. It was just a steady stream going to China. Just a steady stream of Bitcoin purchases. But now it's pretty much only the US with a steady stream like that. It's interesting to see here also Turkey. I don't know if you guys know about the Turkish lira. That currency is going through a crisis right now. It's over the last, I think, week, it's maybe down 10%, which is insane in fiat currencies. That's a big move and has disrupted a lot of things over there in Turkey. So there's some Bitcoin being bought there as well. So I just wanted to share that neat website with you guys, fiatleak.com. Check it out for your entertainment. But yeah, it's still promising as far as, you know, just the amount of upside potential we have just fundamentally there. Not even talking about like any financial crisis that may occur or countries wanting to use Bitcoin as a collateral, as an asset to collateralize other things. I think that's going to be the biggest thing we see in the future here. But you guys let me know your thoughts about both of these articles. The Venezuela situation, which is sad. It's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes there we don't even hear about. And I'm sure the U.S. is in there doing some grimy ass stuff as well. And then also let me know your thoughts about the CoinDesk article, the SEC postponing the Bitwise and Van Eck ETF proposals. Is that a sign as far as it being passed soon, or does it mean that it's probably a no-go for 2019? Again, you guys let me know. Shout out to my man Brian XV again for the song request. Number One Crush by Garbage. That's my 2 Satoshis for March 29th, 2019. Make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe. Happy Friday. I'm out of here, people. Holla!